1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Like this. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Like this. Never say die. Never say die. Keep on. Never say die. Like this. Never say die. All of this.
When in the midst of sorrow, you can see up and looking down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. You hear the voice of reason telling you this can never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams, yeah.
You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent, joining you right here on the left coast, right here in LA, in afternoon drive time, where I'm in touch. And so you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nicordelai. Just type in Dr. Niq, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app. If you haven't already, just download the app. That way you can take us with you everywhere you go. You can even hop into a More Perfect group chat on YouTube and tell us where you're at. You know, if you carried us everywhere you go, you know, check in where you at. You know, we definitely want to know. We rolling with you as much as you are rolling with us. Also, be sure to subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way you won't miss some of our most memorable conversations. We have a lot of conversations around here, but the podcast allows you to catch up on the ones that are going to have a pretty long shelf life. All right. Now, listen, hour 2 is a packed one. Supreme Court justices actually showed up on Capitol Hill today, first time in 7 years, and it's not about the rulings that you think. We're going to get into that. And Sunny Hostin's lawyering up for her own son. Plus, the pilot who landed that plane on the Hudson River and saved 155 people, he just shared a heartbreaking health update. And New York City just made it illegal to trap you in a subscription that you can't cancel. Hallelujah. Then we've got 2 guests who know their stuff this hour. Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, political science professor at Columbia, also our resident democracy scholar, and Desiree Cormier Smith, the co-president of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice, and also former State Department Special Representative for Racial Equity and Justice. They are helping us to make sense of AI coming for your job. New York hitting pause on data centers, and Marco Rubio going after the International Criminal Court. And hey, if this conversation grabs you, the extended cut lands on a More Perfect Union, our podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, let's get into it. It's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day, at least this hour. And here we go. Listen. 2, count them, 2 sitting Supreme Court justices. They sat in front of Congress today, Amy Coney Barrett and Elena Kagan. And this is not normal. It's the first time any justice has testified at a House hearing since 2019, and no justice has testified before the Senate since 2011. Officially, it's about the budget. The court's asking for a $228.4 million budget next year, up nearly 10%, almost all of it for, that's right, you guessed it, security. Here's why. Justice Barrett got personal in a way that stopped the room. She said she recently had a swatting incident at her own home and described a moment back in spring 2022 when her security detail sent her home with a bulletproof vest. She carried it into the house, and her 12-year-old son found it and asked what it was and why. Justice Kagan said something that should sit with all of us. For some of us, those threats, well, they've come very close. And all of us live with the knowledge that they may again materialize. She also said the Supreme Court police expect a 38% jump in threats this year, and federal judges saw a 57% rise in serious security incidents last fiscal year. Now, the part I actually want you to sit with, Kagan got asked about the court's own ethics code, which has zero enforcement. Her answer, I think that we should be better off with an enforcement mechanism. Excuse me? Come again? A sitting justice under oath, basically telling Congress the court can't police itself. Let that marinate. In other news, a little lighter than that last one, but real and honestly relatable. The View co-host Sunny Hostin, who's also a lawyer, former federal prosecutor, she is representing her own son, Gabriel Hostin, after a trespassing citation in New York. Now, here's what went down. Gabriel, who's a 2025 Harvard grad and a former junior Olympian track athlete, who was out training, and he spotted a gravel incline that looked like good hills to run, and there was a no trespassing sign, but Sonny argues it wasn't visible from where he entered. And get this, the responding officer reportedly admitted the gate should have been closed in the first place. Well, look, I don't got to tell you that Mama went full lawyer mode, and in her letter to the DA, she said, quotes, "My client is a 2025 Harvard University graduate with no criminal history or prior contact with the criminal justice system." That's not just a mom. That's a mom putting her whole legal career behind her son. And listen, back in March, Gabriel joined my father's fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, one of the Divine Nine, and Sonny posted about it. As proud as she could be, a young black man doing everything right. And it still took his own mother, a lawyer, showing up in person to keep a misunderstanding from becoming something bigger. A lot of us know that story. And in other news, this one's pretty heavy, and I want to handle it with care. Captain Sully Sullenberger, the man who landed the plane on the Hudson in 2009 and saved all 155 people on board, well, he just revealed he's been diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. In his own words, quotes, "For now, this means a name may not come easily to me. I forget a story I've recently told, or I don't sleep as well, but I'm in the beginning of this long journey." He found out back in August of last year, and instead of hiding it, he's doing what he's always done, putting his platform to work for other people. He said, quotes, "Over the years, when people would ask about the successful outcome of Flight 1549, I would say that courage can be contagious. Now we need that courage to battle this disease. I'm not part of a larger community with many of you, and we will be courageous." Or he says, "I'm now part of a larger community with many of you, and we will be courageous together." It's a reminder that Alzheimer's, it touches a lot of families listening right now. It's touched my own family. You all have heard me talk often about my great aunt, my Aunt Slim, who died after a valiant battle with Alzheimer's. It's worth noting that 7 million Americans are living with it, the most common form of dementia. And if this hits close to home for you, you're not alone. And it's worth that conversation with your doctor, your family, your people. Now, something we can all actually use. New York City just became the first city in the country to ban deceptive subscription traps. You already know exactly what I'm talking about. Click once to sign up, then you need a certified letter and a blood sacrifice to cancel. Well, starting October 1st, companies have to make canceling just as easy as signing up or eat fines of, get this, $525 per user subscription, back fees, and more. Mir Mamdani said it plain, quotes, if you can sign up with one click, you can cancel with one click. It goes further, too. Companies can't hang up on you. They can't hide the cancel button. They can't lie about what happens if you leave or drag their feet. City estimates that this could save New Yorkers somewhere between $21.5 and $162.5 million a year. Say what you want, but that's a mayor actually fighting for people's wallets. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Jonathan E. Collins and Desiree Cormier Smith when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
She's sharp. She's fearless.
I don't know what they told you, but if they told you that cutting me off is how I was going to get clicks, stop it now.
She's that girl, and she's bringing all of that to your radio this summer. Amanda Seales is here.
I am Amanda Seales.
Comedian, artist, actress, activist, truth teller, the woman who never bites her tongue is coming to KBLA Talk 1580. And baby, the conversations are about to be unmatched. Every Friday, she's going to be lit noon to 2 p.m. and back again 4 to 6 p.m. starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Amanda Seales, keeping it real, keeping it raw, and keeping it rooted. Politics, pop culture, Black excellence, the stuff they don't want us talking about. Amanda's talking about all of it.
You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works.
This is not your average radio show. This is a Seales Summer. Fridays, noon to 2, 4 to 6. Starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't just listen. Tune in.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
If you only knew what happened during commercial breaks, if you only knew, if you all only got into the group chat for the show, you would be amused. We might figure that out or not. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really delighted to be back in conversation with our regular contributors. Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, a professor of political science at Columbia University, is also our resident democracy scholar, and Desiree Cormier Smith, co-president of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. So delighted to have you all here to help us separate the fact from the fiction. Ooh, there's a lot of fiction out there. Ooh.
Yeah, it is.
Well, so let's start here. Let's start with something that should concern everybody listening from behind the wheel right now, or if you're streaming on your phone. Nearly 200 economists and researchers, including 15 Nobel laureates, they just put out a joint statement warning that AI could reshape the economy faster than the Industrial Revolution did, just compressed into a way shorter time frame. The statement says that AI, quotes, could bring risks, including large-scale job displacement, as well as opportunities such as major gains in living standards. And so, Dr. Collins, we're going to start with you. When economists who used to be skeptics, like MIT's Darren Acemoglu, Nobel winner, when they start signing statements like this, what does that shift actually tell us?
It tells us that the technology is advancing much further along and faster than the policy. I think that's the kind of upshot here. It's not, if you read the piece, they're not telling us that AI is inevitable in its takeover. It's a warning shot. It's a flare gun. It's saying, hey guys, hey, this thing, it's moving. We can do something. We can ride the wave. It's not inevitable that we will drown. But if we don't do something immediately to get control of the situation here, we are in big trouble. Because the thing about it is, AI has created this new, almost kind of like, gold rush, so to speak, of the modern day. And I was trying to think about like analogies of like how it compares to other moments in history. And of course, the biggest, most recent moment that we can compare this to, of course, is the .com boom of the early 2000s. Right? This was the creation of the internet in the late 1990s. Well, in the late 1990s at UCLA, my alma mater.
We won't hold that against you. Go ahead.
It's okay. We forgive you.
So Bruins, right? And so, but this triggered something very important. Really, the fight on?
Yeah.
University of Spoiled Children. But this triggered something major in magnitude. Right now, suddenly the ability to connect with people, to be able to send messages, media, consumerism, everything changed as a result of the internet. It was a tide that lifted all boats. Now suddenly everything could be done, or almost everything could be done online, good, bad, in between. Mm-hmm. That was the internet. And that made a lot of people's lives better. Made some people's lives worse, but it made a lot of people's lives better. AI is different because this is not about connectivity. This is not about the dissemination of messages and media and consumerism and the opportunity to buy and sell. What this is the replacement of human labor. This is digitized cognition. This is the creation of, you'll hear a lot of wealthy investors talk about agentic AI. They are basically creating these digital agents that are programmed to do your job. And so there are very specific job industries where these agents are being designed to replace you. And so this is not all the rising tide raises all ships. This is the rising tide is helping to raise a few ships, but then there are some ships that are going to be completely destroyed, especially by the emergence of agentic AI. And I think before this happens, we need to figure out, what are people going to do? Where are they going to work? How is the economy going to reshape itself to prevent this tide from crashing ships to the sand?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much about the future of work, and we've been having that conversation, for well over at least a decade, in a more serious way. But I can't help but also think about broadband, right? I mean, we're talking about the advent of AI. We're talking about AI on steroids, this AI economy of the future, assuming that everyone has access to the internet, assuming that broadband is evenly available, evenly accessible across the country, and we know that that's not the case. In fact, we see the Trump administration doing the opposite. Really sort of reversing some of the gains, some of the momentum under the Biden administration when it comes to broadband. And so, Desiree, Ace Moglu, this Nobel Prize winner, he said, quotes, "If you look at what robots did in the manufacturing sector, if AI does something equivalent in a more compressed time period, that would be really disruptive, really costly for people's livelihoods. We know which communities historically get hit first and hardest when industries automate. What should Black and brown workers, especially in customer service and logistics and entry-level white-collar jobs, what should they be doing right now to protect themselves?"
Well, we need regulation on this, right? AI is here, but it doesn't have to be as destructive as it could be. But the real danger is that we have an administration that, frankly, is beholden to a lot of the tech oligarchs who want to see unregulated AI. So we really need to urge Congress to step up and do its job and put some guardrails on AI so that the most vulnerable and the most marginalized aren't further harmed, right? We know that AI has a real potential to actually create real good, right? In a utopia, in a perfect world, AI can take on all the mundane tasks that nobody wants to do and free us up to read more and explore arts and be creative. That is not going to happen. We don't live in a utopia. We don't live in a perfect society. So AI, we also have to take very seriously the real risk that AI poses to exacerbate existing inequities, and really do real harm to the people, as you mentioned, who are already in these situations. And we know in America is going to be Black and brown folks. So we need members of Congress led by the Congressional Black Caucus.
Come
right?
on now. Hold on. Double tap on that mic. You want to make sure everybody listening.
Clock it.
Congressional Black Caucus, any member of the CBC, not limited to Representative Yvette Clarke, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. You are welcome to join us here on A More Perfect Union to help us understand through a Black lens, right? Not just what's at stake, but what is the Congressional Black Caucus fighting for? We really want to, inquiring minds want to know, but please continue.
I mean, we need them to be playing a leadership role because, as you said, it's going to be Black folks who are going to be hit the hardest by this. Last hired, first fired, right? Mm-hmm. We already know that it's going to be our communities, our people who are going to be hit the hardest. And so we need to get out in front of it and be pushing for common sense, but also equitable guardrails around AI, acknowledging that it has the real potential to really do harm on Black communities here in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, Black communities, people who have various immigration statuses. I mean, this can be far reaching. I want to remind folks that the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, they're planning a markup session on a number of AI related bills that's coming up. And while the markup has not officially been scheduled on the committee calendars, it may happen very well before the end of this month or by the end of this month. There's a whole list of bills on the session agenda that are going to be released in the coming days that we're going to take our time and we're going to zero in on between now and the end of the month, because some of the opportunities and challenges related to AI are too great for us to ignore, and we want to make sure that we get folks on the record, but more importantly, we're all clear on what's worth fighting for in this AI economy. I want to turn to another tech-related issue. Governor Hochul just signed the nation's first moratorium on a new hyperscale data center, this massive server farm that powers AI. There's going to be a 1-year pause on new large data center permits meant to protect the power grid, the water supply, and keep utility bills from spiking for regular New Yorkers. Dr. Collins, you live in New York. This gets framed as environmental and consumer protection, but there's an economic justice angle underneath it too. Who usually ends up living closest to these data centers, dealing with the noise and the water strain?
Oh yeah, it's almost always Black and brown folks and folks who are working class, lower income, right? So this is a big move by Governor Hochul, because what she's trying to do here is build off of some kind of subtle, maybe not so subtle pressure from Mayor Mamdani, because every time you hear Zohran Mamdani speak, he talks about the working people, right? And he's addressing issues of affordability. He wants to make New York City safer and more friendlier, more usable, and just a place of prosperity for the working class. And this has put a lot of pressure on Governor Hochul to build off of that momentum and make sure that she can also capture that base. She's entering an election year, right? And there's some questions about her popularity. What's a way to address that? Come out with something that shows that you have the interest of working people in mind, and not just from the standpoint of the ability to create jobs within New York State, which is very important, or protect jobs, which is very important, but to also protect the safety and the sanctity of New Yorkers. Because not only does New York State have an issue with environmental hazards, because if you talk to any of us living in New York, we just experienced another major power outage. Mm-hmm. So the idea that data centers would be adding to a problem that we already can't solve, that's a problem in and of itself. But then what's the purpose for data centers, for more AI? Because here's the issue, that I wanted to bring up in the last question with AI that we have to wrestle with here. It doesn't pass the barber test, right? When AI makes your barber's job easier, because if AI was so good, I wouldn't look like this, because my barber would be on top of his game and I would have the freshest shape up on the show. AI is very discriminate in whose job it makes easier, who becomes more productive, and that discrimination systematically is biased against Black folks, but particularly the working class. So I think there are so many layers to what Governor Hochul is doing, and I'm excited about it.
Well, when we come forward, Desiree, I want to give you a chance to respond to the Supreme Court testimony I referenced earlier in the show when we covered Justice Kagan telling Congress that the court would, quote, be better off with real enforcement on its own ethics code. Given your work centering human rights and accountability in U.S. institutions, what does that mean when a sitting justice says the quiet part out loud? More with Desiree Cormier Smith and Dr. Jonathan E. Collins when we come forward. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Corte on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, has been sworn in to fill his South Carolina Senate seat following his sudden death.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter. So help you God.
I did. Governor Henry McMaster appointed her to serve through the end of the term in January. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's effort to take control of the Chicago Housing Authority Board has been blocked by the city council. Johnson tried to fast-track 3 appointments, but several aldermen stopped the confirmation process. And Haitian immigrants in Indiana are preparing to lose federal protections following a U.S. Supreme Court decision ending temporary protected status. The ruling affects about 350,000 Haitians nationwide. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker, an African-American from Stone Mountain, Georgia, will receive $1 million for winning the Home Run Derby during Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend in Philadelphia. The $1 million is more than Walker's salary this season. Walker, in his third season with the Cardinals, is earning $800,000 this year. Walker is the first African-American player to win the Home Run Derby since Detroit's Prince Fielder in 2012. Since the Home Run Derby was created in 1985, 8 African-American players have won the title. An update for you on the percentage of African-American players in Major League Baseball this season. The number is 6.8%. That's way below the 18% that were on MLB rosters in 1991. And Dave Roberts of the Dodgers is still baseball's only African-American manager. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
You can't fix what you won't face, and we face it every day. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know.
Destination Crenshaw, your time is up. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 and Bethesda Temple Church invite residents, churches, businesses, and community leaders along the Crenshaw corridor to join a vitally important community conversation Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. For years now, this community has been living with unkept promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and a lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local Black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating Black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me just say, for the people who are streaming us right now, who are looking at, I'm gonna give myself up. But people that are looking at sort of the image that shows up, the card that shows up when we are on commercial break, and they are wondering, "Wow, I didn't know that the Cordola. I never noticed his dimples. Right? I didn't know he had a full mouth of veneers."
I was like, I didn't know Marvin Sapp was hosting today. I
So, look, some days it's a hit, some days it misses a little bit, but I'm glad that Dr. Collins and Desiree Cormier Smith look on point, always.
You clearly didn't use the AI for us, and I'm grateful. I'm glad you saved that water, because
that's right.
Who knows what they would have
right.
done to us.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We're talking to Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, professor of political science over at Columbia University, and Desiree Cormier Smith, the co-president of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. Right before the break, Desiree, I was asking you to sort of weigh in on the Supreme Court testimony that we saw from Justice Kagan and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and what does it mean that you have these sitting justices that are saying the quiet part out loud in terms of, Congress, perhaps doing a better job enforcing a code of ethics with the court than the court itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think if nothing more, the Trump administration, both this one and the previous one, but especially this one, has shown us that a lot of these, what we thought were rules, were really norms, right? And we kind of took for granted that people who were holding public office were doing so in the best interest of the public. And we didn't realize, I don't think a lot of folks realize that a lot of these ethics rules were really just norms. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing that in real egregious ways in the Supreme Court. And, it begs the question of whose interests are you actually serving, right? If you are getting luxury trips and all kinds of different kind of payments for your family.
Come on now. Tell it. The mic is on. The mic is on.
Donors of a specific and certain political party. And when cases that come before you have a clear interest, like that party has a clear interest in it, it's really hard to determine if you're not biased, right? It's really hard to determine whose interests you are really weighing. And so, I hope that there are more enforced rules and laws about ethics, not only for the Supreme Court, but also for members of Congress and for members of the executive branch. We had talked about this before, but let's not forget, we have the president's son-in-law and real estate buddy who have no diplomatic experience gallivanting around the world, leading some of the most consequential negotiations, one of which has failed and led us to an immoral, unjust, and unnecessary war with Iran. And for folks that don't know, Jared Kushner is not even an official government employee. And this administration likes to kind of hold that up as us somehow saving money. Mm. But what is actually happening is that because Jared Kushner is not an official employee, he doesn't have to file the ethics paperwork that are required for all senior appointees of an administration. And we know that his firm is mostly funded by private equity firms from the Middle East. So we have no idea what this man is actually doing in these negotiations, who is making him rich, and whose interests he's actually serving.
I mean, it really sounds quite simply that you're suggesting that Jared Kushner may very well be pimping America out.
Oh, he is. And I actually wrote an op-ed about it in Miss Magazine about how this administration is taking corruption to new lows. And it's especially apparent in our foreign policy, using Jared Kushner as the prime example.
Well, speaking of foreign policy, I want to stick with that for a second. I want to talk about Marco Rubio. We're going to go Marco Rubio for 500.
Do we have to?
just for a little bit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he just announced a full diplomatic campaign to quotes, dismantle the International Criminal Court, calling it, in his words, a body backed and run by a powerful network of leftist non-government organizations, smug globalists, and hostile third world governments. Tools on the table include travel bans, visas being revoked, and increased sanctions. Desiree, given your background in U.S. human rights diplomacy specifically, what's really at stake for global accountability if the U.S. successfully isolates the ICC?
Yeah, this move is really dangerous. It's really disturbing, but it's also completely unnecessary, right? Like, you don't want to get targeted by the ICC, don't do war crimes. It's that simple.
Right.
And this administration often does this. It's like they project their own guilt, right? And so like this whole creepy video that Marco Rubio released, which I encourage everyone to watch because it is really incredibly creepy, how they are trying to twist this into somehow encroaching upon the United States of America. And America, we fought a war for our independence, and we're not standing for that. BS. You don't want to come. First of all, we're not even signatories to the ICC. Second of all, we don't want an international court coming after us. Don't do war crimes. Third of all, the ICC often actually does things that are in direct alignment with U.S. foreign policy goals. So if this administration actually does care about the Russian war crimes being committed in Ukraine, guess who's pursuing that? It's the ICC. Guess who issued an arrest warrant for Putin? It's the ICC. If this administration actually does care about the genocide going on in Sudan right now, guess who's actually following that and trying to promote accountability for those who are committing war crimes? It's the ICC, not the U.S. government. So, we saw Bush do this before, right? The Bush administration tried to do the same thing and attack the ICC, and it actually walked away from it when it realized that actually the ICC is doing some of the very things that we say we care about in many of the places that we can't do it.
I'm telling you, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I want to talk about this visa crackdown on international artists. Have you all seen this story? This one really touches on culture directly. Our friends over at NPR shared this story recently. They dropped really a deep look at how the visa process for international touring artists, talking about musicians and dancers and comedians, how it's gotten dramatically harder under this administration. Processing for an extraordinary ability visa now takes over a year. And if you can't wait, you're paying almost $3,000 just to speed it up on top of everything else. One comedian who performed here twice before got turned around at the airport and put on a flight home the day before his scheduled Massachusetts show with no clear explanation given. And he said afterwards, this experience was so hard and deeply hurtful, so the idea of coming back becomes so hard. Dr. Collins, what's the real cost when a country makes it this hard for global artists and cultural voices to reach American audiences?
Well, it's problematic on multiple levels. It's first problematic on an economic level, because not only are you hurting artists' ability to earn, because obviously the economic power that comes along with the U.S. and the ability to tour across the U.S. is huge for international artists. But then you also run the risk of reciprocity, where other countries may retaliate against the U.S. and implement similar restrictions and make it more and more challenging for U.S. artists to go abroad and make money touring in other countries, which is a major source of revenue for artists. And I know we think about our sort of large scale, big, larger than life Beyonce type artists as the ones who make the money abroad. But no, it's actually a lot of your mid-tier up and coming artists who can go and travel to Europe, Australia, parts of Africa, and, really change the trajectory of their careers and their economics, their financial situation. So you risk that reciprocity piece. But then at a deeper level, it's about cultural exchange. Like that's the beauty of art, is that it is something, especially in this moment of, division and chaos and destruction and fighting. Art is what has the ability to bring us all together. You think about artists like Bob Marley, who put out messages of love and unity. And tell me we don't need something like that right about now. And I look at this policy as something that just creates another barrier to artistry that has the ability to, make us as a world, feel more whole. So this is very concerning.
Well, talking about people putting up barriers, I think it's important for folks to note that, some of the changes in immigration policy that we're seeing here in the U.S., well, it's not just the U.S. There are a number of countries around the world that are taking their cues from the United States. In some kind of way, we're even seeing, this in South Africa. Desiree, staying, with you on this, being that it is the Global Human Rights Beat, South Africa has deported or repatriated more than 53,000 African immigrants in the span of a month, with more than 80% of those sent home from Malawi. This is happening alongside a wave of sometimes violent anti-immigration protests, and at least 3 migrant deaths are under investigation by South African police. This story, it doesn't get nearly enough play in the U.S. media. That's why I'm bringing it up. Talk to us about what's driving this and why American audiences, particularly Black American audiences, should be paying attention to the xenophobia within African nations.
Yeah, this story breaks my heart. I mean, we talked about this last time I was on, because I believe that was the quote unquote deadline that a lot of these anti-immigrant, anti-migrant groups gave to foreigners in the country to leave. And we saw these folks, these xenophobic groups, come out into the streets with sticks, with weapons, and threatening folks who moved to South Africa. Many of them were there legally. Many of them established a life there, have family there, have children who are South African citizens. But even if they were there legally, became fearful for their lives, and they left. This is incredibly disruptive. It's also incredibly heartbreaking. It's also incredibly ironic, right? Many of the folks who are living in South Africa come from countries that stood with South Africa during the anti-apartheid movement, right? That stood with Black South Africans in their struggle against apartheid, that stood with the ANC, the Liberation Party, the Party of Mandela, during its struggle for liberation. When countries like the US were on the side of the apartheid government. It is also deeply heartbreaking to see the xenophobia and the anti-Blackness of this all. When, again, a lot of the concerns that folks are expressing, their resentment over incredibly high unemployment. I mean, the official unemployment rate right now is, I think, 32%. So 1 in 3 adults does not have a job, cannot provide for themselves or their families. Imagine the anxiety and the fear that comes from that, right? So that's legitimate. But targeting immigrants is not legitimate, right? It's not their fault. It is the fault of a deeply inequitable economy that is the legacy of apartheid. That is the government that needs to do more to promote more equity in the economy. Don't take it out on the poor Somali shopkeeper who's barely trying to get by, right? Who opened up a shop in your neighborhood so that you can get goods, but so that he can also provide his family. So a lot of these, the anti-immigrant sentiments are coming from legitimate concerns and anxieties, but they have the wrong target. And, we see this, unfortunately, around the world. We see it here in the United States with, the MAGA's anti-immigrant sentiments, their racist, xenophobic, homeland security ads, and all these things. It's not unique to the United States. Unfortunately, it's a global phenomenon where we are seeing folks, and usually it's like, it's illiberal, either governments or politicians or movement leaders that are taking these legitimate anxieties and giving people vulnerable targets in the form of immigrants.
Dr. Collins, as a professor of political science, as someone who, can get real deep in your bag, given, how you've studied, political history, over the years. Talk to us about the fight ahead, because as Desiree laid it out, it's clear that something has been unleashed globally, where you have folks that are able to run and get elected on platforms, that play to these divisions, that play to the xenophobia, that play to that anti-immigrant sentiment that she just outlined. What is it that we can do or should do, if history is our teacher, to begin to rein this in, starting within the Black community?
Well, it starts with the understanding that politics is contagious. And I know we don't think about it in that way, but it very much is. When we see these kinds of movements happen, they tend to kind of spread like wildfire from all ideological perspectives. I mean, when you saw let's go back to the 2016 presidential election here in the U.S., and it wasn't happening in a vacuum. We had whatever happened with the Electoral College for Trump to become president in 2016. But you also had Bolsonaro in Brazil. You had Brexit happening in the UK. Okay. You had a series of conservative movements that were happening around the world. It was all occurring at the same time, and it was very similar in message. It was these right-leaning populist movements that were rooted in xenophobia and othering and discrimination and being anti-immigrant. And you saw some backlash to that, and now it's happening again. And what I'm looking for moving forward, well, the pendulum always swings, but what direction will it swing in this next iteration? Because I think we like the visual of the pendulum that swings from left to right, but politics is multidimensional. And so I don't think it doesn't swing from left to right. Sometimes it swings from front to back. And in a progressive sense, this is an opportunity for the pendulum to swing forward. And so I'm looking at populist movements that are addressing ideas like affordability, cost of living. How do we support working people? How do we create the conditions for folks to thrive in a moment of the looming threat of AI?
Yeah. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
You deserve a treat, a $10 bill credit treat. If you get an LADWP paper bill but go online to pay it, stop. Break up with your mailbox. It's time to go paperless. With paperless billing, bill reminders come straight to your inbox. You can access 7 years of past bills in your online account, and you don't have to deal with paper clutter piling up. It's a win for you, your time, and the environment. $10 bill credit for new LADWP paperless billing signups. LADWP.com/paperless.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. And we're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity, and you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at KBLA1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and I really enjoy being in conversation with Dr. Jonathan E. Collins of Columbia University and Desiree Cormier Smith of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. All right, that's our show for today. But look, between ICE walking back its own tactics after killing 2 innocent men, the Supreme Court admitting on the record it needs outside accountability, and a private equity housing ban actually becoming law without a single headline-grabbing press conference, today reminded me, and maybe it reminded you, that change doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's a quiet policy shift buried in a news cycle that puts real money back in your pocket or keeps a family in their home. And to Captain Sully, wherever you are, thank you for your honesty today. That takes its own kind of courage. Before we go, if you caught us in the car today, thank you for riding with us. If you're on the KBLA app or watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate you too. And don't forget, every interview, every deep conversation from the show, some of the most memorable ones, I should say, they live on A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. So subscribe, rate it, and tell somebody. And whatever platform you're on, make sure that you're also taking care of somebody. Call your people, check on your elders, hug your kids a little tighter. That's what it's all about. In our remaining minute, Desiree and Dr. Collins, final word on anything?
So I got my one final word is, Desiree, I hope I know you have a lot of friends. But I hope that your friends, when they come to your neighborhood and you see them at a museum less than a mile from your house, that they hit you up.
Oh, wow.
And tell you that they're in Harlem.
Oh, wow.
At the Studio Museum.
Oh, wow.
Instead of having to see it on Instagram.
Wow. Let me tell you something. This Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, he is good. He waited to the last 30 seconds of the show to let me have it. I didn't know where he was going with this.
Me neither.
Desiree said, I ain't catching a stray. Here.
My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Point taken, Dr. Collins. I'm gonna take my whooping. I'm gonna take it right here. Thank you for that. Thank you for the reminder. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Remember, don't panic. Organize and tell your friends when you're in Harlem at the Studio Museum. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
That
was good. That was good.